Three can keep a secret, if two of them are dead. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. Well done is better than well said. Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. Life's tragedy is that we get old too soon and wise too late. It takes many good deeds to build a good reputation, and only one bad one to lose it. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Never leave that till tomorrow which you can do today. Beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. Lost time is never found again. If time be of all things the most precious, wasting time must be the greatest prodigality. Do not fear mistakes. You will know failure. Continue to reach out. Experience keeps a dear school, but fools will learn in no other. A house is not a home unless it contains food and fire for the mind as well as the body. I didn't fail the test, I just found 100 ways to do it wrong. Be slow in choosing a friend, slower in changing. Be at war with your vices, at peace with your neighbors, and let every new year find you a better man. Don't throw stones at your neighbors if your own windows are glass. Without freedom of thought, there can be no such thing as wisdom, and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech. There are three things extremely hard: steel, a diamond, and to know oneself. Remember not only to say the right thing in the right place, but far more difficult still, to leave unsaid the wrong thing at the tempting moment. If passion drives you, let reason hold the reins. It is the working man who is the happy man. It is the idle man who is the miserable man. Tricks and treachery are the practice of fools, that don't have brains enough to be honest. Money has never made man happy, nor will it. There is nothing in its nature to produce happiness. The more of it one has, the more one wants. He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. The Constitution only gives people the right to pursue happiness. You have to catch it yourself. Wise men don't need advice. Fools won't take it. Being ignorant is not so much a shame, as being unwilling to learn. In this world nothing can be said to be certain, except death and taxes. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Dost thou love life? Then do not squander time, for that is the stuff life is made of. There is no kind of dishonesty into which otherwise good people more easily and frequently fall than that of defrauding the government. So convenient a thing it is to be a reasonable creature, since it enables one to find or make a reason for everything one has a mind to do. He that raises a large family does, indeed, while he lives to observe them, stand a broader mark for sorrow, but then he stands a broader mark for pleasure too. He that raises a large family does, indeed, while he lives to observe them, stand a broader mark for sorrow, but then he stands a broader mark for pleasure too. He that would live in peace and at ease must not speak all he knows or all he sees. There are 3 faithful friends, an old wife, an old dog, and ready money. At 20 years of age the will reigns, at 30, the wit, and at 40, the judgment. A life of leisure and a life of laziness are 2 things. There will be sleeping enough in the grave. Your net worth to the world is usually determined by what remains after your bad habits are subtracted from your good ones. All mankind is divided into 3 classes, those that are immovable, those that are movable, and those that move. For having lived long, I have experienced many instances of being obliged, by better information or fuller consideration, to change opinions, even on important subjects, which I once thought right but found to be otherwise. Marriage is the most natural state of man, and the state in which you will find solid happiness. Most people return small favors, acknowledge medium ones and repay greater ones, with ingratitude. How few there are who have courage enough to own their faults, or resolution enough to mend them. Human felicity is produced not as much by great pieces of good fortune that seldom happen as by little advantages that occur every day. He that has done you a kindness will be more ready to do you another, than he whom you yourself have obliged. How few there are who have courage enough to own their faults, or resolution enough to mend them. In my youth, I traveled much, and I observed in different countries, that the more public provisions were made for the poor, the less they provided for themselves, and of course became poorer. And, on the contrary, the less was done for them, the more they did for themselves, and became richer. Those disputing, contradicting, and confuting people are generally unfortunate in their affairs. They get victory, sometimes, but they never get goodwill, which would be of more use to them. It is the eye of other people that ruin us. If I were blind I would want, neither fine clothes, fine houses or fine furniture. As we enjoy great advantages from the inventions of others, we should be glad of an opportunity to serve others by any invention of ours, and this we should do freely and generously. From a child I was fond of reading, and all the little money that came into my hands was ever laid out in books. Pleased with the Pilgrim's Progress, my first collection was of John Bunyan's works in separate little volumes. There are 2 ways of being happy. We must either diminish our wants or augment our means, either may do. The result is the same, and it is for each man to decide for himself and to do that which happens to be easier. It is a grand mistake to think of being great without goodness, and I pronounce it as certain that there was never a truly great man that was not at the same time truly virtuous. I have never entered into any controversy in defense of my philosophical opinions. I leave them to take their chance in the world. If they are right, truth and experience will support them; if wrong, they ought to be refuted and rejected. Disputes are apt to sour one's temper and disturb one's quiet. We are more thoroughly an enlightened people, with respect to our political interests, than perhaps any other under heaven. Every man among us reads, and is so easy in his circumstances as to have leisure for conversations of improvement and for acquiring information. Where there is a free government, and the people make their own laws by their representatives, I see no injustice in their obliging one another to take their own paper money. I have no private interest in the reception of my inventions by the world, having never made, nor propose to make, the least profit by any of them. There cannot be a stronger natural right than that of a man's making the best profit he can of the natural produce of his lands.